Hey everybody, Raven here, and today we have another episode of Coin Shop Talk with myself and my partner in Coin Crime, Stephanie, and of course, cameraman Sean. Today we're going to be talking about all things quarters. We're going to start off with the cat bust, go into the Standing Liberty quarter, the Barber quarter, SLQs, which is Standing Liberty, and then the Washington quarters. So one of my favorite coin designs out there is the cat bust design. And we're going to talk about the quarter. We don't have a cat bust quarter in stock right now, but we do have a half. So we can basically show you that, this is what it would look like on the obverse. And the reverse would look like this. Of course, it would say 25 cents and it'd be substantially smaller. But cat bust coins are one of the most beautiful out there, and they're very highly sought after and expensive. They average between $110 and $150 for most of them at a G4. The most expensive ones are the 1823 with the 3/2 being $46,000 just for a G4, ladies and gentlemen. If you could ever find one in a uncirculated 60 and above, $276,000, over $250,000 for that coin. The next high bidder is the 25 cents over 50 cents, which they actually have an example here in the book, which is right here. Very, very cool. I would love to just see one in person because a G4 is 5,500 smackaroos.
Yikes.
Could you imagine? I mean, you go buy a house for what that one quarters is at MS60.
Or gummy bears.
Yeah, a pile of them.
Mm.
All right, but that is going to lead us into our next subject, and that is the seated Liberty quarter.
All right, now seated quarters, there's a whole bunch of different varieties. So they ran from 1838 to 1891, and you'll find some with arrows, some without arrows. There's just all kinds of different varieties. And because these are newer, they're not as old, and the mintage numbers are greater, these are not going to be quite as valuable. But there are a whole bunch of different varieties. Here we have arrows. Here we have no arrows.
Mm-hmm. Right there by the date.
Exactly. And then you'll see they talk about the shield and the drapery, and there's all these different ones.
And you have Carson City.
Yeah.
CC.
That's where they come along. So the Carson Cities start over here, 1870, good for $97.50.
Wow.
Yikes.
That's
a washed out coin.
But look at this. 2 years later, the next Carson City at...
10,
no, that's
5. It. Yeah, 71.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Walk down the street. Oh,
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, they don't...
And see, that's just in the worst condition. If you happen to have one that's kind of nice, $27,000. $57,000.
It's like pocket change.
Oh, exactly.
Sean has at least 2 or 3 of these in his back pocket.
Tied up on
the... But it is a really pretty design. I like the seated Liberty. I like how they keep changing from seated to standing to walking. Mm-hmm. Eventually she'll be running and swimming.
So we have a couple really beautiful examples here in this typeset book.
These actually belong to cameraman Sean. So they're in really good condition. And if you'll notice, as we look to the reverse, they're both errors. This one's a rotated die, and this one is missing the clad layer?
Delamination.
Delamination, right there.
Yeah.
So that's a very cool...
And this book here will show you all the quarters by dates.
So pretty cool stuff. Sean actually had the better examples than what we currently have in the book. And the next item that we'll be showing you is SLQs. All right, so let me correct myself because I forgot Barbers were next because, well, like most people, nobody really liked the Barber quarters or the halves back in the day. Matter of fact, that has led to a phenomenon where if you can find uncirculated Barber quarters, dimes, and halves, they're worth a substantial amount of money because they're one of the more simpler designs. It was just the face, the eagle on the reverse, but some of them are worth quite a bit. Now, they ran from 1892 to 1916, and the 96S is one of the more expensive ones, but look at the 01S, guys. $4,500 just for a G4. If you can find it uncirculated, you're looking at $62,000 plus. in the red book. So, you know, that's a high retail price, as most people know. And then when you go to the rest of them, they're relatively inexpensive. You know, there's a couple dates that stick out, but the 13S is the next key date in that series. A very nice quarter in design. In my opinion, I like Barbers. I try to find them when I can and find them in good shape. But if you look, majority of what we have in the store is really VGs and maybe a couple fines, because they are really one of the most abused coins in the numismatic world. So our next thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be the SLQ, the Standing Liberty Quarter.
All right, next is the Standing Liberty Quarter. So the Standing Liberty Quarter started in 1916, and everyone was in an uproar over its initial style because her breast was exposed. So in 1917...
The vapors.
Exactly. Pearl clutching.
Oh.
Yeah. So in 1917, there is the Type 1 and the Type 2. So the Type 1, she's exposed. Type 2, she's not.
Mm-hmm.
Type 1. Type 2. Type 2. Anyway, so the key date is the first one, the 1916. You can see even in very good 8, almost $6,000. Again, high retail. But that's not something I have sitting around in my bank account to pick up.
No.
They are beautiful coins if you can see the shield. And really what people are looking for that higher grade, that better quality, is what they call full head. Because, see, this is the strike. It was kind of a flat head. So if you can see all of it and you get all the detail, then that's going to make your coin worth a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And the toes.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Every once in a while you get toes. Right down there. If you can see the toes, be impressed, because not
And
everyone
it's
has
nice-
a foot fetish like Sean, but
Not me. But the eagle is really nice too.
Yeah. And so the other keys in this is the S dates for some reason.
really
the
going to look at the
23S.
S's.
Yeah.
Similar to the Barbers, the S's were going to be where you find the higher dates, or the higher prices. Yeah. All right, so we've got, and then here's the error, the 18S 8/7, so that's an error to look for. I mean, every once in a while you might find it.
Yep, you might get lucky.
Exactly. So some of them get a little bit higher. You get the 195, the 470, but again, these are all S's. So the S's are
And
gonna be-
$11. That's my price range.
Exactly. I'm right there.
Yeah.
I am where you can't see the boob, because not because it's covered up, but because it's rubbed
That's
off.
the money. Now, when you look at the full head prices,
Yes.
now here's another thing to think about with full heads. They're uncirculated coins. So you're going to see the pricing MS60 and higher. There's some in AU50 because you can have a really nice strike and coin. But for the majority, this is what you're looking at, and the prices are phenomenal.
So it'll be kind of rare for you to have the full head, because that's going to be the high grade.
300,000.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I got 3 of those.
I need a couple of those. And then Sean has one in his collection that's actually a really nice example. That thing is gorgeous.
It's cool to have it's hard to see with the glare, but
Let
the
me pick it up a little.
shield detail is pretty cool.
Yeah, when you got full shield and all the stars in it, you want to look at the reverse here. So we're going to flip that bad boy.
And he's upside flying eagle, but
He's skilled like that.
oh, that's the wrong quarter.
So, SLQs are one of the nicer and more sought after coins, and they're still reasonably attainable, which is going to lead us
put you on hold.
phone call. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that finally brings us to the Washington Quarter. There's been variations of it because it's run from 1932 to present times. Now, the most sought after that everybody talks about is the 32D and the 32S. Those are the key dates, with literally under 500,000 of them ever minted. And who knows what their true survival rate is of those coins, but we do have 32Ds and we have 32Ss, and they fluctuate. A really nice MS65 32D is going to cost you $8,750, and the S is a little less sought after, which is strange because there's less of the S at $2,300, but I think the S notoriously had better strikes, and people knew that, oh wait, this year they didn't produce as much. Now, with the Washington quarter, you have the original Washington quarter with George on the front, the eagle on the reverse. There's a lot of stuff to look for. There's light motto, heavy motto, double die a verse on the 1934, which for a double die, it actually is pretty reasonable. In a F12, $95, and an uncirculated MS65 is $27.50. That's really pretty easily attainable for some collectors, not myself. I mean, $2,700 is still $2,700.
I can handle like the fine.
Exactly. I'm right there with you. And, we look at relatively through the Washington quarter. The reason why there's not a lot of them that are that expensive is they made so many of them. Now, the ones that are, under $1 million and whatnot, you can see even in F12, they're only a $10 coin, which is crazy. Here's one that's $2.8 million, $9.50 at a fine 12. The 42D double die, again, $100 at F12. The 43, you're looking at $575. The 43S, you're looking at, $80 or so. This is probably the more attainable of the quarters that are out there, and we have some really cool examples in the case right there that we're going to show you. The 1950 D over S is a cool one, but relatively still obtainable, even into the higher grades. It's one of those things that Washington quarters are one of those things you can go to a lot of coin shops and they have a 90% bend, and you might find some of these cooler dates that are worth a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out. A lot of the stuff when it comes in, I don't have time to look through all of it, so we'll buy it like 90%. So that's why a lot of people go through and those two schools of thoughts with the 90%. You can either look for the oldest coins or this particular dates, because that's going to be the least expensive way to get the older coins, and then you want the ones with the newest because they have the most amount of silver, least amount of wear. But if you're looking for those collectibles and specific years, that's a good way to do it.
It really is. All right, so as you look at these, there's some cool ones in here. We have a D over S and an MS64 and a 53, another D over S and an MS65. And you can see that the price doesn't really jump too substantially between the two grades. You're looking at $260 versus $280. And, there's a lot of renditions of the Washington quarter, which Stephanie's going to start talking about right now for you guys.
I mean, most of them you're going to find that you want to collect are that 90% silver, because everything 64 in Washington and all the previous, they're all 90% silver. And then, of course, 65, they switched over and they were clad. Then you see in 76, 75 and 76, they made for 2 years the bicentennial quarter. And they made them for 2 years. They're not silver, so that's why those are not special, collectible, but not valuable. And then they keep going on, and you get, to the States, America the Beautiful. But when they started the women's quarters,
here's the bicentennials.
Washington is facing the opposite direction. So that's not an error. I have gotten calls on that. In 2022, when they started making those quarters, at one point they used a gentleman's design, and at one point they used his wife's design, is the difference between the two Washingtons. So that's something that you'll see. There he is. Here he is there.
Oh my God. It's the wrong way.
So a lot of varieties, a lot of fun things to collect, a few key years, a lot of little errors. They're fun. I mean, silver.
But overall, we love quarters. It's one of our favorites in this shop. If you want to come visit us, we are at
9118 South Walker, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73139.
If you want to correspond, it's ravenhawkcoins@gmail.com. The P.O. Box is 721-296, Norman, Oklahoma, 73070. Like always, please make sure to take care of one another, and we'll see you real soon. Ravenhawk Coins, have a great day.